time I hear you whisper to me that you never would leave me be. I can feel my body echoing for you now.
Do you know what you do to me? It's like a fantasy, I wanna never leave. But isn't it a little funny that you're the one controlling me?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You are an interesting creature.
That was the best intro ever. I hope my eyes see a woman. Welcome back, by the way. I hope my eyes see a woman staring down at me with a very sly smirk on her face. I opened my mouth to scream in fright, but a hand quickly covered my mouth.
No screaming now. Too early, silly girl.
Sex jokes. I could only stare up at the woman above me. I still felt weak, not having the strength to move or fight her off. What was going on, and why was she here?
Why do the boys like you? You're unique, yes, but that can't be all that you have going for you.
These hiccups are going to be interrupting me a lot. Working at Taco Bell gets you 50% employee discount. Hey! That means tacos for everyone. Rage began to consume my core again. This woman, whoever she was making me mad. Fucking hiccups. She must have known and let another smirk grow on her face.
Ooh, you're feisty. That could be why.
Before I could bite her hand in anger, she removed her hand from my lips, standing up and staring down at me from her place next to my bed. Cue sexy music. Hey. I quickly sat up and glared daggers at the intruder. She was very beautiful, but I felt more anger than amazement. Who the hell are you and why in my room? The woman began to laugh, making the rage inside me increase. I wanted to punch her, but I waited for her answer.
How silly of me. I forgot that we demons are not well known of in your world. You can call me Diana, little human.
Diana. Demon? You're a demon?
I am. But I'm much more than just an average demon.
What do you mean?
Silly girl. I'm a succubus.
Hey! Wait, you got a hiccup coming. Never mind. I stared at Diana in shock. A succubus? Succubus. Busty. First incubi, now a succubus? Great. I had now met both genders of sex demons. Diana crossed her arms on her bosom and looked at my body.
Well, you are pretty. But you seem very reckless. Too reckless.
Huh. I always feel like I hear something. Okay, just my headphones? I moved out and stood from my bed, still glaring at Diana. Why are you here?
Oh, I just wanted to see who my competition was.
Competition?
For the boys, of course. They don't belong here, and yet here they remain. I want to know why, and remedy this little issue.
The girl was seriously pissing me off. Issue? What issue? What's the noise? Hello? No noise. What the... Okay, keep my eye on my door. Oh, it's my rabbit. Ugh. They want to stay here so they can.
Silly, uneducated human. You don't understand the important roles these boys play in the abyssal planes. You keeping them here is practically imprisonment.
You have about 10 seconds to leave.
Is that a threat? How cute. What a...
Oopsies. I don't even care. And what if I do?
You barely have the strength to stand, little human. I can rip the rest of your energy out and knock you into a coma. You'll never be able to wake up again.
Touch me and I'll...
Enjoy every minute of it.
I felt my body freeze up and heat up almost in a painful haze. My mind began to feel fuzzy as Diana stepped me and caressed.
Now.
Stepped on me.
You're going to listen to everything I say without any questions. Got it?
If I had a face cam. I nodded.
Good. I plan to bring the boys back to the Abyssal Plains. Why? So that I can take my place as queen of their realm. They have no reason to be here in this silly little world, so I'm going to make sure they return home. Okay, Pumpkin?
Pumpkin. I nodded but growled. My rage couldn't be concealed, despite the hold I was under. You evil beep! I now censor
Call me
videos.
evil all you want, dearie. I'm not evil. You're just in my way.
Felt Diana leaned in my ear and whisper, making me unconsciously shiver in both pleasure and annoyance.
Now, be a good little human and go to bed. I'll make sure they're gone before you get home tomorrow from school, so make sure to say goodbye in the morning.
Felt my body move on its own to lay in bed and cover itself with my bed sheets. I glared at Diana the entire way down. Diana laughed at my futility. I'll get you.
Oh, please do.
All of a sudden her voice deepened and became cold and demonic, sending a violent, scared shiver down my spine. Her red eyes practically illuminated in the darkness of my room as she glared at me.
Give me a reason to make your life a living hell.
I gritted my teeth, trying to fight back against the hold on me. She couldn't have been that tough. She needed energy to survive, right? I was sure she couldn't have done enough to hold me down forever. Diana then laughed and returned to normal.
Oh, and make sure you don't tell the boys I was here. I want my visit to be a surprise.
I felt the hold on me disappear, allowing me to sit up and practically growl at Diana in rage. And what's stopping me?
And you must not care about your friends and family as much as you care for the boys.
I stopped and stared. What did she mean by that? Was that a threat to my family? Diana smirked at me, knowing the confusion behind my eyes.
Let's just say that if you tell the boys about me, I'll make sure that no one will care for you, and you'll be all alone in this little house until the day you die.
That's a dirty trick, Diana. Dirty trick! I could feel fear creeping into me. Alone? How could she do that? The word demon reverberated in my head, reminding me that I was facing off against something supernatural. Human with a shield versus a devil was one thing. A human on her own versus a demon was another.
Have a good night.
And with that, Diana sank to the floor through the magic purple pentagram which disappeared as her head vanished into the floor. I couldn't believe it. I had one problem, and now I had another. Instead of a crazy psycho devil who wanted to kill me and the boys, I had a succubus wanting to ruin my life and take the boys away. Could my life get any worse? No, I wasn't going to let her win. She's not as powerful as she looks, I know it. I had to mentally confirm it. She wasn't going to win. The boys wanted to stay with me. I let out a sigh before closing my eyes, affirming my plan of action. No matter what she was going to do, I was going to beat her. Eventually the morning arrived, and the sun screamed at me to get up. Surprisingly, I woke up before my alarm clock once again, which was nice. I stretched out and quickly got dressed, getting ready for school. She expects me to say goodbye to the boys. I will say good morning, and I will see them when I come back. No way I'm going to say goodbye. Good morning, my lovely ducklings. I scooped up my bag and headed downstairs into the dining room. Seeing the boys already eating a delicious selection of food, the smell made my stomach growl wildly at the sight of the food, and as the sight of the food drew me to walk further into the room.
Good morning, miss. Did you sleep well?
Yes. Hi, Matthew. Matthew's smile is contagious. Before I could lie, hiding the incident in the back of my mind, Damien furrowed his brows and stopped eating.
She's here.
Dun dun dun! Why don't you stuff a piece of bacon in that mouth? Maybe more than one piece. Shut up, Damien. The boys looked at Damien in confusion while I cursed his ability silently in my mouth.
Damien, what's up with you? Of course she's here. She kinda owns the house.
Damien looked at me, wanting me to explain for him. However, the threats Diana gave me last night warned me to keep my mouth shut. No. I almost clicked that. I shook my head at Damien, not wanting to talk about it. Damien sighed and looked to James. James tilted his head and furrowed his brows at Damien before looking at me.
Does anyone else live in this house?
Sam's just like, "Ugh." No, just
Then who is Diana?
My heart stopped. Damien was still able to read my mind. I couldn't help but glare at him, but he continued to press a hard, tell-the-truth gaze at me. I sighed. Damien was going to press the issue, but I had no choice but to speak. A girl named Diana came by last night. Hold on a second.
Diana?
Fuck!
Is she important?
Hold on! Sorry, I had a slight interruption.
Did she try to hurt you?
What? Oh, right, we're doing that. She's a succubus. Okay. Sorry, I was trying to figure out what button I was supposed to push. That single word made the boys stop and stare at me. I looked to each boy, unsure of what was going through their minds. Should I have avoided it?
So, she's come to try and bring us back.
She must really be desperate.
Well, what should we do now?
Nothing. She'll give up eventually.
Will she?
The boys continued to look at me as if I knew the answer to that question. Damn it, Damien! She said that if I told you, she'd make my life a living hell. She can't possibly do that, right? She's not devil.
No, she isn't. However, she is a very powerful demon.
She's a master of mind manipulation and has been trained in illusion. Unlike other demons who use strength to get power, she uses her charisma.
She has the power to make armies bow to her and obey her every whim. That's why she's so obsessed with us.
What? What do you mean?
Well, she sort of has family ties to us. She was promised to marry one of us in exchange for more power.
She's just some whacked up hussy who doesn't know how to close her legs. She's not a real threat.
Oh, really? I feel insulted.
The boys and I looked around the room, wondering where the voice came from. I felt a cold sweat run down the back of my neck in fear, remembering the kind of power she had. At last we saw Diana by the entrance of the kitchen, juggling a single red apple in her hand as she leaned against the archway. The boys quickly surrounded me, glaring at the intruder.
So, you took up a human name as well.
Beautiful name, isn't it? Well, for a human name, anyway.
What the hell do you want?
To bring you back, of course. However, you weren't supposed to know that I was coming. I completely forgot about that little mind-reading ability. My mistake.
Diana pushed off from the archway and walked towards us, making the boys step closer to me in a protective circle. Diana laughed.
My. What has the world come to? A group of demons protecting a human girl? I'll tell you right now, she's not that pretty. And from what I can tell, she's still a virgin.
Please! My face grew red in complete anger and embarrassment. How dare she! Diana chuckled and smirked at me, knowing that I wanted to hit her, but had to control herself.
Such control
Had
you
control of
have,
myself.
human. You know your
Yeah.
place very well.
Very well. I didn't control the growl that escaped my throat, however.
Well, will you all change your minds? I assure you, it's for the greater good.
Of who? You. I expected the boys to say no. What I heard was complete silence. None of the boys replied to Diana, which made me both nervous and fearful as to why. You're just... Diana leaned her head back a bit, surprised for a different reason.
No. Well, I see.
Was silence truly them saying no to her? I looked around at the boys and saw a disobedience in their eyes, giving me my answer. I felt my heart flutter, especially when my eyes landed on Eric. He kept close to me, glaring daggers into Diana. I could feel that he was completely adamant in his choice to stay. I don't know what, but I was incredibly happy to know he wanted to stay. Diana sighed and pressed a finger into her temple, rubbing it gently.
Either all of you are playing a very convincing hard-to-get game, or you all must be out of your minds.
Diana then looked at me, locking her gaze with mine as if to read me. I could tell she wanted me to do something, but the boys would stop her, so the stare was her only available action. After a small moment of silence, Diana licked her lips before breaking the gaze battle and smiling to the boys around me.
Very well. I guess I'll take my leave now.
What? Her leave? Was she serious? The boys around me straightened up and grew confused looks on their faces as Diana stepped back away from us with a small bow, flaunting her cleavage. Without another word, a deep purple pentagram appeared under her feet, and Diana's body slowly sank into the floor. As her head vanished into the floor, the pentagram vanished. At once, the boys relaxed and slowly began to return to their spots at the table, with each in deep thought.
She'll be back, but she won't kill us. She needs us alive.
Whatever. We'll just keep saying no. She can't force us to come back.
She can't do anything but annoy us. Eventually she'll give up.
That's the hope, anyway.
Hopefully. Eric walked over to me and gently caressed my cheek, looking at me with concern.
She won't harm you, princess. I promise.
I nodded, feeling that he, I almost said Hughes for some reason, that he was telling the truth, or at least hopeful and comforting thought. Eric gently took my hand and he kissed my knuckles, making me blush and forget what I was thinking about. Why? Okay. The sound of collective chuckles and playful snickers whispered through the air, making me blush even more, but as Eric cleared his throat, the laughter stopped. I looked up to see he was glaring at his brothers with his lips on my hand. He and I pulled away from each other just as the sound of Naomi's car appeared. I quickly ate my food, waved to the boys, and left, confident that nothing was going to happen. Never ever say that nothing will happen before the day is over. I avoided talking about the ride back home yesterday, saying that the ride was a one-time thing. I'll be riding with you guys from now on, to and from school. The girls seemed very happy. We entered the school, quickly gathered our things from our lockers, and headed to class. There were no events to our surprise. History wasn't exactly fun, but our teacher was great. Or at least he would have been great if he was in class today. Naomi and Suzu took their seats around me, Suzu in front of me, Naomi beside me, before the class bell rang and the class was greeted by the dean.
Students, you'll be having a substitute for class today. Everyone meet.
Students, I am the most boring person in the school.
Miss Diana.
Dun, dun, dun. My heart stopped. At the door with the dean was Diana. Looking over to the students and smirking as her eyes landed on me, she strutted to the teacher's desk, ignoring or welcoming the whispers from the other students before sitting on the wood and crossing her legs.
Thank you, Dean. You can go now.
With a wave of Diana's hand, the dean left the classroom, closed the door, and left the area. Diana smirked at us, making my stomach turn. What was she going to do?
So, history. History. Such a silly thing, isn't it? I mean, what do we care about the past? We're in the present.
The rest of the class, including Naomi and Suzu, hesitantly nodded in agreement, unsure about this new teacher, but willing to listen to more of what she had to say.
The present is so full of wonderful things. While the labors of the past are the reason we have many things, it is our chance and privilege to utilize what has been given to us.
Her charm was almost infectious. The class was practically starting to eat out of her hand. I looked around to see classmates grinning and agreeing. With Diana, I pressed my lips together as I listened further. I had no choice.
What's even funnier about human beings is that some of the bits of history we hear is either made up or completely biased to one side. It's like a story you read as a child. You hear of the princess and the prince, and they live happily ever after. But what about the family she left behind? What of her friends?
The students listened and agreed intently to her words. I could tell, however, that these words were all targeted at me.
The original story of the Little Mermaid, a perfect example of biased opinion. Here we have a girl who thinks she can be with this prince, but this prince has to marry a princess. What would happen if the mermaid had her way? What makes the mermaid so important that the princess has to suffer the consequences?
Doesn't matter what happens to the princess, because we don't care. The rest of the class turned their heads to me. Naomi and Suzu looked at me with equally surprised looks. Kept my eyes to Diana. If I was the mermaid, I wasn't going to let the princess take my prince away. Diana stared at me before smiling and turning her body to fully face me.
Oh? And why does it not matter?
The story isn't about the princess, the story is about the mermaid and the prince.
But that is exactly my point. While the story talks about the mermaid and the prince's romance, we don't see the problems of the kingdom the prince rules. While we are all fixated with this love story, we ignore the fact the kingdom would fall apart without the marriage between the prince and princess.
She kept her eyes to me as she spoke. I knew she wanted to make her words stick in my mind, but I didn't listen. It was one thing to be a fictional story. It was another trying to ruin someone's life for selfishness. Diana chuckled and looked back to the class.
Well, luckily in the real story of the Little Mermaid, the mermaid knows that what she was doing was wrong, and she threw herself into the ocean, turning into sea foam.
Some of the students that surrounded me mumbled in surprise, obviously not knowing the real story. However, Diana was wrong once again. Once again, the class looked to me, and Diana faced me with another smile.
Not true. How so?
Just hold on. There we go. The trade-off of becoming human was marrying the prince or turning into sea foam. However, she was also given the choice to kill the prince and turn back into a mermaid. The mermaid didn't because she loved him and sacrificed herself for that love. That's a story worth telling, not some princess getting her way, but of a tragedy that had befallen on a girl who only wanted love. The class applauded me, with Suzu giving me her usual punch to my shoulder and Naomi smiling at my logic. Diana, however, finally grew an almost angered face at me.
Interesting. So what you are saying is that the princess should be given no mind.
The story is not about the princess. The story is about the mermaid, and the mermaid should have gotten her prince.
Even at the risk of a kingdom falling apart?
Even if the entire world fell apart around them, duty does not overrule love, and the princess needs to realize this. The applause that followed that intensified with whoops and hollers. I felt a wave of confidence roll through my body. Diana wasn't going to win. Wasn't going to let her. Diana then stopped talking and looked at the clock on the wall, reading it quickly. The class had barely begun. What was she looking at the time? Why was she looking at the time? Diana then leaned against the blackboard and smiled to us. I became worried.
You know what? School isn't important. Everyone, go ahead and head home. Take the week off.
The students suddenly began to chat happily, or in confusion of the situation. Many thought it was a dream come true. Others knew better. Before anyone could protest, however, Diana pressed a finger to her lips and counted down with her finger in the air. 3, 2, 1. The speakers of the classroom gently awoke, giving us an announcement we would never believe.
Attention students. Due to an emergency faculty meeting, we will be closing school for the remainder of the day and this entire week. Please leave the school quickly and quietly and have a good rest of the week.
She used her powers on them. Damn it. I felt the need to stop her, but how could I stop a demon in the middle of a public area? Diana smiled before gesturing to the door.
Have a nice week off. School will resume next week.
Many of the students filed out, chatting to each other about new impromptu plans. Suzu was beyond happy, but Naomi was hesitant. Before we could pack up and leave, however, Diana stepped to us.
Excuse me, little miss. I'd like you to stay a little while. There's something we need to discuss.
As Diana looked to Suzu and Naomi, she snapped her fingers, making my friends tense up.
You two can head home. Don't worry about your friend until next week, okay? If you contact her, she won't reply, so don't bother. If she contacts you, ignore her, because she's just fine.
As if on command, Suzu and Naomi left the room. I tried to march after them, but Diana stepped in my path, warning me with her eyes that if I followed, there would be hell to pay. Burp. I had lost my 2 friends, at least for the week. Diana and I were alone, just like she wanted. I slammed my hands on the desk in front of me and glared at Diana. What are you doing, and what are you thinking?
What? Do I not make a good teacher? I figured you should have a little lesson, so I took matters into my own hands.
Keep burping. Whatever you're trying to do won't work.
You really think so, dear? And what makes you so sure about that?
Because I'm the protagonist, and the protagonist always wins. What was making me so sure? How was I so confident? Were the boys worth this? My thoughts began to fill with doubt. All of the uncertainties about this whole ordeal began to cloud my mind. If the boys were ever found out, there'd be hell to pay. Was it worth it? What about Diana? What would she do to me? Would she make my parents forget about me completely? Would she ruin my friends' lives out of spite? In my gut, I felt a stone of confidence try to fight back, but the heaviness of my thoughts began to dissolve that stone little by little. What was going on with me? I looked up to Diana once again to see her gaze boring into my eyes. She was using her powers on me. This time, I was away from home, so I couldn't escape. Or could I? Did I want to? The way she stared at me made me feel warm and fuzzy inside my chest. I felt like melting. Diana lifted a hand under my chin and ran her thumb over my lip, licking her own. I could feel little shots of energy zipping from under my skin into my chin where she held me.
Now, let's have a little taste of that sweet, virginal sexual energy.
I watched she leaned in, ready to kiss me and take my energy. Half of my body felt elation at the idea. The other half completely rejected it and didn't want her to even touch me. Eric! God. Suddenly Diana stopped in her tracks.
Eric? Who is...
Then it dawned on her.
Ah, one of the boys. Why did you tell me which boy is Eric?
Put myself in non-compliance. The second... Diana giggled in reply before letting go of my face and stepping back.
Really? The sly second? With you?
I nodded once again, but this time it was partially my own decision to reply. Jenna let out a sound that mimicked a cat's purr before stepping away from me.
Alright then. Well, if it's the second son you're infatuated with, you should really rethink your romantic options.
Diana took it before kissing my nose where I felt a shot of energy zap out of my body, almost making me dizzy and recoil. Diana then turned to the desk and sat on the wood, crossing her legs.
You can go now. Remember, no class for the rest of the week.
And how am I supposed to get home? My two friends left me here thanks to you.
Oh, were they your ride? My apologies. Let me help then.
Diana then lifted her hand and snapped her fingers. Suddenly felt the floor sink from underneath me, forcing me to look down, and purple pentagrams surrounded my feet, pulling me into the ground. Wow! Slam! Before I could fight, however, I sank fully into the floor, fading into darkness, shutting my eyes. As I opened them, I felt my silk sheets around me, soothing my anxiety from the darkness that had previously surrounded me. Oh, what the... I'm home! And I'm gonna end it here because I'm moving my bones and everything's making a cracking noise, which is weird. I'll see you guys next time.